You might be losing belly fat, but not even know it, even if you're training and dieting hard. The mirror or the scale may not show a huge change yet, but after getting ripped myself and coaching men to get six-pack lean for the past 9 years, I've discovered 7 signs the body gives off when fat loss is actually happening. If you can't spot them, you will feel stuck and frustrated. So I'll show you the signs that your belly fat's melting, even if you can't see it. But first, we need to clarify what fat we're actually talking about. In case you don't already know, there are 2 types of belly fat. The one that you can see, that soft pinchable layer under your skin called subcutaneous fat. And the one you can't see because it's wrapped around your organs, which we call visceral fat. The thing is, more subcutaneous fat alone is less harmful than visceral fat. And that's because visceral fat is metabolically active, meaning that it's leaking chemicals and fatty acids straight into your liver. That's what messes with your blood sugar, your hormones, and your overall metabolic health. But what most people don't realize is that your body taps into the visceral fat primarily once you start training and eating consistently, and there's research to back this up. A study published in the International Journal of Obesity found that visceral fat is preferentially mobilized in the early stages of fat loss, even when your total weight doesn't change much. But there's a small catch. Your total visceral fat only makes up from like 2 to 5 kilos or 4 to 10 pounds for most guys, even at a higher body fat level. While some of it drops first, it's not a massive amount compared to subcutaneous fat. And that is why the mirror might not show during those first couple of weeks. Unless you're doing a DEXA scan every single month, it's almost impossible to track this precise difference between visceral and subcutaneous. You also don't lose all your visceral fat first. You can still have some left even at 15% or below. A healthy visceral fat is usually around 10% of your total body fat mass, or closer to 5% for leaner, stronger men. The leaner and more active you get, the less visceral fat you'll have overall. But with very low muscle mass, the body still may hold on to visceral fat, leading to that skinny fat look. So if the mirror and the scale aren't immediately moving, it doesn't mean that nothing's actually happening. But this first sign I'll explain next really messes with people's motivation. You ever stepped on the scale after a few solid days of training and eating clean, and that bitch went up?
Bitch!
It feels like a doubt punch to the gut, you think something's wrong, or you magically gain fat overnight. But when your body starts burning fat, it also releases stored water that's been held with glycogen, which is how you can drop 5 pounds or 2.5 kilos within days. Glycogen is basically the energy that your muscles store from carbs. 1 gram of glycogen pulls in about 3 to 4 grams of water. So when glycogen drops, the water flushes out. Then when you eat carbs again, the water will fill back up again. This back and forth can swing your weight up and down 2 to 4 pounds, 1 to 2 kilos per day, even if your fat mass doesn't change at all. But there's more to it. So when you start training again and pushing harder in the gym, your muscles will also hold more glycogen, which is a good thing. They're storing more fuel, pulling in more water for the next session. So as a result, the scale may stall for a bit or temporarily spike. But at the same time, you can still be losing body fat if you're in a calorie deficit. That's why the scale's a limited measure of progress early on in the journey, because tracking water, food, and your glycogen is what it's really doing, not pure body fat alone. So if you're consistent, that little stall or spike usually happens right before the next drop. For example, here's a typical weight trend. See, most of the time on your weight loss journey, you're losing fat, but you're not losing weight because the scale lags. If you don't know what your weight goal should be, use the calculator link below in the description. So once water and glycogen stabilizes, the scale eventually catches up, which leads to this next sign, which is one that you will notice before the scale or mirror reveal it. So when your visceral fat starts shrinking, it reduces the pressure behind your abs, the one that causes the belly to stick out. And that's why the waist can shrink even though you still have that subcutaneous fat around the belly and the hips. As that internal fat pressure drops, your posture can also improve because your core isn't sagging forward as much when you're relaxed. So it's taking pressure off your lower back. You might naturally stand taller and have a healthier posture. If your waist measurements are shrinking, then you're losing fat. It's one of the most reliable signs that belly fat is actually shrinking. You'll probably notice that your thighs and your arms and chest will lean out first, but that will slow down, particularly as you build more muscle, and it may eventually stop while the waist keeps trimming down over time. You might not look drastically different yet, but every inch or centimeter down is progress to feel proud about. And once you start noticing these physique shifts happening, this next sign becomes even more obvious. One morning, you'll throw a shirt on, and what used to be snug and tight actually feels comfortable and somewhat looser. Then you'll need to drop another belt hole, or you can fit back into jeans that maybe you haven't worn in years. So your clothes are painting the full picture. And this is not imagination. It's instantly verifiable progress. Even if you can't see a six-pack, paying attention to your clothes, how they're fitting, is a legit way to monitor your progress. And once you start noticing this next sign will show up unexpectedly. This one might catch you off guard because you see yourself every single day, so it's hard to notice the small incremental progress. But eventually, you'll start getting random comments like,
"Hey, have you lost weight?" Or "You're looking leaner."
People who don't see you every day may notice it first up. But even if the comments aren't positive, it's still a good confirmation, because you might hear people say,
"You're looking too skinny." "You're not eating enough food."
Or,
"Are you sick?"
But don't take any of that personally. Most people just don't know how to genuinely compliment someone, or it just makes them feel better by putting somebody else down. Either way, people are noticing, which means your body's changing. And then when this starts happening, the past invisible progress phase is over. And then this next sign proves what's happening inside is finally happening, what's matching what people are seeing on the outside. When you start eating quality food, hitting your protein, drinking more water, sleeping well, moving more throughout the day, and managing your stress, your digestion will improve. With less sodium, less food, and alcohol, there's going to be less water retention in your gut. That alone can make the belly feel noticeably lighter at the end of the day. You might notice that you don't feel as heavy after your meals, or your stomach doesn't puff up like it used to. And so with better digestive motility, you might even be more regular in the bathroom. That can also cause a small drop on the scale at times. This also improves your nutrient absorption. This helps your metabolism run a bit smoother, your recovery will get better, and your energy is going to be more steady throughout the day. So feeling less bloated and more comfortable is a sign that you're shifting in the right direction. And speaking of things you can actually feel, the next sign connects directly to how your body's functioning on the inside, and is something that you can actually test for. So as your body composition improves, your metabolism will start working more efficiently, which basically means you can go longer between meals without feeling hangry or that you're going to crash and starve. Your energy is going to be more stable and sustained across the entire day, and those intense sugar cravings will gradually fade away. And that's a sign that your insulin sensitivity is improving. When you eat, your body's using more of that energy for fuel, not just storing it as fat. And this can be confirmed in your blood work too. Improved fasting glucose, your HbA1c levels, and fasting insulin levels are clear indicators that your metabolism is shifting towards fat utilization. It's not something that you'll see in the mirror, but it's one of the strongest internal markers of your sustained fat loss and better metabolic health long term. Because when insulin sensitivity improves, your body doesn't need to produce as much insulin to utilize the food that you're actually eating. And then when your internal systems start lining up with what you're seeing in the mirror, you know for sure you're in a deficit. But it may come with a small side effect, which I'll talk about next. At the start of a fat loss phase, hunger can feel like an alarm going off every few hours. It's very tough to ignore. After a couple of weeks of eating quality food, getting your consistent steps in, and doing good workouts, your body will start burning more stored fat for fuel, and the hunger does start to change. You'll still get hungry, but it feels calmer, more predictable, and just easier to manage because that fake mental habitual hunger is fading off. And now you're eating for a purpose and not just for boredom, stress response, or social habits. So your body stops begging you for that quick sugar fix after lunch or after dinner. But also, feeling hungry when you're in a deficit is totally normal. It is actually a sign that you are in a deficit. So don't freak out if you get hungry. It's kind of like your body saying, hey, feed me so we don't have to burn all this fat. But you can just tell it to shut up.
Shut up, fool!
Key is really knowing the difference between that physical or that emotional hunger. And here's a simple test you can try out. So right now, are you so hungry that you would eat raw broccoli? If the answer is yes, fine, go and eat the raw broccoli. You can cook it if you really want to. Otherwise,
Shut up, fool!
your body doesn't always need food, but your mind wants a dopamine hit or the distraction or whatever it is. Truth is, I haven't met anyone who doesn't love to eat food, and most of us do like to enjoy some shit food. And so when you reach that stage where your hunger feels controlled instead of chaotic, that is a big win. And then when you start noticing all the signs I've talked about, that's when fat loss stops feeling like this constant battle against yourself and starts becoming more automatic. And if all this sounds familiar, that means your body is finally moving in the right direction. So now the goal is just to stay consistent, keep the momentum rolling, and eventually you get to 15% or below, which is exactly what I help my clients do in my metabolic recomp coaching. It's a one-on-one tailored approach that helps my professional and CEO clients get and stay six-pack lean. To learn more, tap the link in the description below the video. Or if you want to go solo, grab all my step-by-step blueprint systems. Here, the link is also in the description. Then go watch this video next where I'll share the honest truth on losing belly fat after 30.